The sports story of the day: Aaron Rodgers finally traded to the New York Jets. Now, this had taken longer than we expected, but we're only a few days before the draft, and it has finally been completed. It's a big deal. Why? Because we're talking about an all-time great quarterback. We're playing in the quarterback age. More good quarterbacks and great quarterbacks are produced than ever. But I see Rodgers as a top 5 quarterback of all time. I have my own personal rankings. I say Brady, Montana, Manning, Unitas, Rodgers. And if you don't see him in your top 5, then surely you must put him in your top 10. He has an all-time great skill set when it comes to accuracy, decision making, excellent arm strength. His touchdown interception ratio is as good as anyone in NFL history, certainly for someone who's played as long as him. And maybe you could say, well, the only guy who would rival him is Patrick Mahomes. Rodgers has played more than twice as many years as Mahomes has, so let's give it some time. He's a Super Bowl MVP and a 4-time league MVP. The only player who has more is Peyton Manning. So we're talking about a historically significant all-time great player in Rodgers, and he has had one great run in Green Bay. He did get one Super Bowl, but disappointingly never even made it to a second Super Bowl. And that's an episode I want to go back and look at the Rodgers years and the disappointments of his years in Green Bay. It certainly doesn't fall all on him. But then we see him now traded from the NFC to the AFC, where he gets a new start with the New York Jets, a team that has only won one Super Bowl, a team that has only been to one Super Bowl, Super Bowl III, of course, with Joe Namath. And interestingly enough, of course, his number is the same as Joe Namath's number. He's not getting number 12. He will be number 8. So a very good quarterback number, but he will be number 8 with the New York Jets. And he's moving into the AFC East. So what kind of team is the Jets now? Are they a legitimate Super Bowl contender? Are they a playoff team? Are they a wild card team? I think they're certainly a playoff team. They were a team that was going in the right direction. I don't think Rodgers lost much. I think more than anything, he had a bad year. Even though we're talking about a 40-year-old quarterback, he hasn't lost a lot. He hasn't lost a lot, in my opinion, when it comes to his skills. Not that he was a runner, but he knows how to move in the pocket. He can buy some extra time with his legs, and he still has, I'd say, an above average arm. Even at this age, he has aged very well. Their biggest competitor in the East is the Buffalo Bills, and I'm not ganging up on the Bills because they disappointed last year and didn't even make it to the championship game. I think they're a good team. I just never thought they were as good as people made them out to be heading into last season. Very entertaining seeing these two teams match up now twice a year. And the AFC is absolutely stacked with quarterbacks. We'll get back to that in a few minutes. But I would think the Jets have a good chance at the division. With all due respect to the Bills, they have defense that's on the ascent. What they were really missing was the quarterback, and now they have what I would still consider a top 5 quarterback in the league. I think a fresh start is going to do Rodgers good, and I like the Jets to at least be a playoff team and to get fairly far. I'm not going to put them at the top of the AFC. Someone's going to have to knock off the Chiefs. And right now, still no one is playing as well as Mahomes. And it's about time that we see Mahomes and Rodgers face off. It's time. We really have never had the opportunity to see that matchup because Mahomes didn't play in the first time they could have played, and Rodgers didn't play the last time they could have faced each other. So they've never faced each other. Oh, I think they are a playoff team. And then looking at the AFC quarterbacks, though, the NFC is now not very impressive when you're looking at what's supposed to be the top quarterbacks in the conference. The AFC, you got Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, the big three. Then you have guys who are a little younger than that, such as Herbert, who's excellent. And then we really saw Trevor Lawrence improve. And then I'm going to assume Lamar Jackson is going to be on the Ravens at this point. And, well, we'll see what happens with Russell Wilson. You add Aaron Rodgers in there. You now have Aaron Rodgers to go with all those quarterbacks. Imagine what the AFC playoffs might look like. Oh, great move for the Jets. I think they definitely win the trade, even though it's a 40-year-old quarterback. I say they win this trade with the Packers. I was not impressed at all by what the Packers got in return. Really, all they did was switch first-round picks. They got a second-round pick. And then most likely they'll get a first-round pick next year for an all-time great player. And you have to realize, well, what is this going to do for the Packers? In my lifetime, watching the NFL, the Packers have always been relevant, with the exception of just a year here or there where they didn't have the best teams. They may miss the playoffs. But you can almost count the Packers in every year, and you could count the Packers in as one of the top seeds in the NFC because, hey, when I start watching, this was Brett Favre at his peak. MVP Brett Favre. And then you had the transition to Aaron Rodgers. I've never seen the Packers bad. We will finally see the Packers as a bad team, and I believe one of the worst teams in the NFL. And now they are in need of a quarterback. I don't think Love is the answer. I expect him to be the quarterback starting week 1 unless something changes here in the draft or there's a trade that we don't see coming. They're not a good team. I think Rodgers has elevated that team for so many years. We'll see what they're like without him. And I know there have been other players that have left. This is going to be strange with the Packers being at the bottom of the NFC. Could they be looking up at the Bears, Vikings, and Lions? And then let's look at this from another perspective. How about Zach Wilson? He was the number 2 pick in 2021. We know what happened last year. The team didn't want him playing quarterback. And he's not going to be seeing the field. He can sit on the sideline. He can hold a clipboard. He can hold a tablet if he wants. This is one of the most significant trades in NFL history. In the NBA, we had Kevin Durant getting traded to the Suns. Even if, I maintain my position, even if the Suns win the finals this year and Durant is the MVP, it's an accomplishment, sure. It doesn't change his legacy all that much, in my eyes. If Rodgers was to at least get to a Super Bowl, it adds something. It really does with the Jets. But it is going to be a difficult task with those three teams we mentioned, the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Bengals, and all those quarterbacks are more than 10 years younger than Aaron Rodgers. And how many chances they get? 1 year? 2 years? It's going to be a fascinating season of AFC football, and I'm looking forward to it. And we'll see if Rodgers is there for 1 year and ends up on the Vikings. It's never boring, is it?